So, Patricia, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the space where you are now? And tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so as you guys know, I've been in personal development for over 20 years, but the majority of the time I was working corporate, in HR, doing leadership development, team development as well. And I moved across life coaching in the last 10 years or so, because I found the need to help people to live with purpose. So that's my mission, I guess, in life. So I help people on a one-on-one basis mainly. I also do group workshops, helping people to overcome limiting beliefs, fears, insecurities, tap into the inner power to go for what they want to do in life. So yeah, the intent is to help others as well to live with purpose. So that's my mission.
So how did you develop that? So you were in HR, working in corporate. Obviously, HR is working with people. How did that turn into you wanting to, how did that purpose develop, I guess, that you wanted to make sure people lived with purpose? Were you seeing a lot of people not living with that purpose, or?
Yeah. So in HR, I found meaning as well in what I was doing. I was helping people to bring more happiness at work, to grow personally and professionally. A big focus of my role was leadership development. But what I found in the corporate environment was that often I was helping people to be who they believed the company wanted them to be, not who they really wanted to be. So I wanted to bring more authenticity to what I do. Even if I I was passionate about what I did. That's why I did for such a long period of time. And I found that there were many cases where I was helping people to grow, and they did have a passion for leadership, for what they were pursuing in their lives. But I would say the majority of my clients in corporate, they didn't really have the passion for leadership, for example. They just wanted to succeed in their career for often just an opportunity to grow, because that's the only thing they saw as an opportunity to grow. They were not totally clear of what they loved doing. So they were doing it often for financial purposes or status, or just to keep moving forward. But if you explore the reason why they wanted it, I would say the majority, they didn't really want to be a leader. and then so I decided to help people in a more authentic way, because I found even myself, wearing masks sometimes in the workplace.
Yeah.
So I was helping people to grow towards something that they didn't want. And I felt that I also had to pretend to be somebody else to be able to help them. So there was a moment in my life that I realized that I wanted to be fully myself and only do things that are close to my heart, and only help people to also do the same for themselves. And I found easier to move out of corporate, even though I still do some corporate work. I offer services, but the services I offer are aligned with the things I believe. Like when I bring a package, a program to the workplace, is because I genuinely believe that will help people. And generally, I try to offer that to people who are interested in those development opportunities. They are not just doing them because they feel the company wants them to do. So I like offering services aligned with their needs, their desires, that come really from their heart, basically.
I love that. And I think that's so, like you said, you're not, people in the corporate world or whatever would be going towards what the company wants rather than what they want. I think that would be relevant to pretty much anyone in a job sense. Like, so you doing what you do in life coaching is free. You go exactly where your heart desires, and that's what you're teaching people, training people to reach for within their depths.
Yeah, exactly. I help people to gain clarity as well, because I understand that many people stay where they are because they don't know what they really want. So I help people to also connect with their values, what is important to them. And even if they don't know yet what their purpose is, but at least I help people finding purpose for the day ahead. And then the more meaning they can bring to their daily lives, then I guess the more clarity they start gaining on what is really their goal. But I feel it's something that they need to do on a daily basis, and I help them through that process, overcome any old patterns, because it's easy to just do what everyone else is doing, and to get out of the social conditioning and even the things that they know, the limiting beliefs, the past experiences. It is something that can be quite challenging. So that's why I look for this kind of services that work on the subconscious mind to even get rid of blockages that they are not aware of.
I think finding your purpose, I certainly resonate with that, Patricia. I think I see a lot of it repeated through these podcasts and through people in life that we meet. I think purpose is often lacking in people's lives. And it's quite interesting because, we're taught how to do math, how to spell, how, all the basics of society. But quite often we are left with that journey of self-discovery to ourselves. And quite often, I used to hear my parents often talk about people finding themselves in their 40s because sometimes that's what you do. You live somebody else's life. You live somebody else's rules. And then you get to a stage in your life and you think to yourself, hang on, is this really for me? And you start to take that journey of self-discovery quite late, I find, in life, in our modern society. And then talking about authenticity and then finding that why for yourself, how did that lead you into the Wim Hof Method?
Yeah, so as a life coach, and both in my own personal transformation, as well as exploring tools to help my clients, I regularly test different tools, different practices that can help us to bring up more energy, increase satisfaction, fulfillment on a daily basis, and make sure that we work on our mindset, both for myself and my clients, implementing sustainable habits that are aligned with the person we want to be, right? So I came across the Wim Hof Method as one of these tools that I tested with myself. And I was so convinced, and I wanted to share that with others. And the alignment I see between the method and what I do generally as my mission in life as a life coach is mainly because I feel it's a tool to help you live with purpose. As you both experienced, when we do, for example, the breathing, is an opportunity to connect with our true selves. I teach meditation as well, and I see often people finding hard to quiet the mind down doing meditation. The breath work that we do through the Wim Hof Method is a form of meditation, and I find that for most people, it's actually easier to quiet down the mind doing the breathing, connected with the breath, the sensations in your body, finding that rhythm. And the more we can create that space, get away from society, any other external influences, and just listen to our true selves, connect with our body, the more we can start realizing what's really important to us. I think it is a way to find your purpose even. I see it as a tool that you can use to connect with your purpose, your heart, what's really important to you, and be less driven by ego, because sometimes we think we know what we want, but if we really dig down deep, the reason why we want something often is not because our higher call, our purpose, it's mainly because we were conditioned to believe that that's what we should want. So I think the more we connect with our body, the more we can also release things that hold us back, limiting beliefs. We store in our body traumas, emotions from the past, and somatic work like the breath work helps us to release things in our body and even listen to the messages that the body is giving us. There's always some learnings that can come from these experiences. So if I have to give one advice to someone who wants to improve anything in their lives, really anything, including believing with purpose, I would say create space. The more space through mindfulness practices, breath work, you create in your life, I think the more you can actually connect with your true self. And Yeah, so the Wim Hof method also includes the cold exposure, as you know. And for me, that's something that is powerful in so many different ways. As you know, we lower inflammation in our body, we improve our wellness in general. And wellness is one of my values. I feel to live with purpose, you need to be healthy, right? You need to have energy to go and do stuff, to make it happen, to overcome the obstacles on the way. So it helps with that, but also helps us to overcome fears, insecurities. We develop confidence, courage, more resilience to stressors in life through the cold exposure, which also helps us to overcome any roadblocks that I would say that they will come, I think even if you're living with purpose, I'm always learning. There's always something that happens that you didn't plan, or if you were to plan your journey, you wouldn't include those challenges. And so you need to have tools to overcome them and accept when they happen. And acceptance is another thing that the method brings us. So you accept the cold, you go into a meditative state. If you're fighting the cold, then it's when it becomes stressful. So we learn that through the method, and then we transfer those skills to life.
I think that's so true, because I know when I first came to that seminar or retreat workshop, I was like, what have I gotten myself into? Like, I was so nervous thinking about the cold part, the breathwork part. I wasn't too concerned. I didn't realize there was going to be that whole sound healing, but just thinking about getting into that cold. And I was like, okay, I've been practicing with the cold showers. I've been finishing off with the cold showers. It'll be all right. And I said to Bart, if I can do 30 seconds, then that's good. And then we spoke to you and you're like, yeah, first timers will usually go 2 minutes. And I went, oh my gosh, 2 minutes. But what I thought was, just so probably the part that got me excited was listening to the theory and about obviously mind over matter and the fact that you can do anything if you put your mind to it, but just all the benefits of being in the cold showers or cold plunge, and even the breathing. So, and then speaking just quickly with what you said about meditation, like I do personally love to meditate, but I do agree that people's minds run a million miles a minute. So the breath work is sort of like a physical way to make or help you get there. And what I found was, I was like, am I even going to be doing it right? But I don't know if I did it right. I just know that at some point during those breathing, I don't even know what round I did, I connected to some deeper part of myself. And I just really felt like, of course I can do this. Like it just really, I don't know if everybody's experience is probably different, but I really feel like I tapped into something that I don't usually get to. So I loved it.
Amazing. And you said that even about the cold exposure before, I remember you mentioned that you felt you could do other things as well, right? I hear that all the time, like especially after the ice bath. People leave the ice bath in the workshop, especially if they never done it before, with that feeling, I can do anything in my life. So that's another connection I find with what I do in life generally. I hear that all the time. Oh, I can do this, I can do anything. And it's amazing. Like for me, when I hear this kind of things, it's what brings purpose to what I do.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to share my experience as well. As Michelle said, we were grateful enough to attend the workshop. And as you know, I do the hot and cold plunges from time to time. And I swim in the morning and I do a sauna and then I take a cold shower. But I think attending your workshop, everything just kind of went to a deeper level. As Michelle said, I really appreciated the information, the knowledge of what cold water and cold plunges can do for you. But for my personal experience, I loved when in the workshop you said that the cold water is like a mirror. You have to face yourself and you have to face your demons, and it all happens in an instant when you're in that cold plunge. And I can certainly relate to that. You're confronted with everything in that moment, and by taking that meditation beforehand and just going deep into that soul part of yourself, you start to really explore your own limitations and your own strengths. And then by taking that deep plunge, you're sort of confronted with everything all in a one shot. And then personally, after the workshop, after everything had finished off, and we did the hot and cold as well, we went for a cup of coffee afterwards. Tea afterwards. And there was just this sense of calm, like this sense of calm, but it was like a natural calm. And everything was just clear. And I think that clarity is just something that, with the hectic lives that we live and everything else that goes on, is quite often missing. And that moment of clarity, you almost feel like you just want to maximize and bring all of your issues into that moment, because you really see them a lot for what they are. You know what I mean? Sometimes we have a tendency of over-dramatizing things, but you see them for what they are, and you can logically and calmly step through it. So immensely beneficial workshop.
Absolutely. And I think you'd said in the theory about when the calm that Bart's referring to is like we release certain things in our, I guess, into our bodies, which is like, what did you say? Is it opioids? And
yeah, the opioids and cannabinoids I released as well, which are natural painkillers, I guess.
Yeah.
And we do release dopamine and adrenaline as well through the cold exposure. And you know what? When we release adrenaline and dopamine, we help basically to create change in the neural level. And that's one thing that helps to create new habits or to make new neural connections. When you have those release of dopamine and adrenaline in your system, which happens during the ice bath, as you probably felt it. I actually feel normally in my body that release. I think most people do. And when you're doing that, you have so many benefits, even for the mindset, because you are basically activating neuroplasticity, especially if you combine that with something else that you want to change. Let's say if you have the release and then even doing the cold exposure itself, which may be the habit you want to change, you are changing the habit of resisting things, and you're facing the fears. So you're creating a new habit. And as Bart said, there's so much learnings that come from the cold, right? About yourself, things you may be storing in your body, emotions and all. And that transformation happens even in the subconscious level. Even if you don't realize, all the courage, the confidence you develop by facing the cold, you transfer to other life challenges as well, to other contexts. Whatever was holding you back, it's not just staying in the ice bath, So maybe you don't realize, but you start creating new patterns in your life. Like you learn to self-regulate better, to accept things that happen in your life the same way you accept the cold. So I think it's so transformational. It's amazing. And one thing I like about the Wim Hof Method is that's very empowering. So you did the breathing. You allowed yourself to face the cold, and you get the benefits. So it's a decision you make. But then once you do it, it's your own practice. As you mentioned, when you do in a group setting with the guidance, we tend to go deeper than when you do by yourself at home. But you brought yourself to the workshop. So it's all you, really. And even if you do the practice at home, you still get a lot of benefits. So it's so empowering, because I have other tools I work with, like NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. But most of the techniques require me to guide you on a one-on-one basis, calibrating, adjusting the approach to what you need. But with the Wim Hof Method, you can do by yourself, so that's why I like it. Because even if people come to me for the one-on-one coaching and have some breakthroughs during the session, I think it's so important to have their own tools, their own habits, their own rituals that they have at home to continue creating the momentum, using that energy, and knowing that they can do things for themselves. So it's what I love about the method.
That was one of my favorite takeaways as well, was that we were able to take it home and continue on, like with the breathing. And also because we learned it first through you, we knew to a degree what we were doing, I suppose, like, because let's talk about the Wim Hof breathing actually. So could you take us through maybe the intro of the best way to do it for people that wouldn't know necessarily the Wim Hof breathing?
Yeah, so for the Wim Hof breathing, you can do inhalations and exhalations, either through the mouth or through the nose, your choice. So if you do mouth breathing, often you go deeper, it's a little more intense, the experience. But if you're starting, or if for any reason you prefer to do nostril breathing, then you can do nostril breathing. So we inhale deeply, really expanding the belly and the chest, bringing as much air in as you can when you inhale. So you're trying to use the full capacity of your lungs. And then when you exhale, you just let it go. So inhale deeply, and releasing. Inhale, expanding the belly and the chest, and exhale, letting go. So then we do generally 30 to 50 rounds of these deep breaths. And then after we do a breath retention. So the breath retention we do after the exhalation. So that's important because there may be other styles of breathing out there, but in the Wim Hof breathing, we exhale and hold. So you hold the air out for as long as you can without forcing. So obviously we don't strain, so that's important, but we hold for as long as we can. And when you're starting, if you've never done before, then maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds, and then gradually increase that time. If you do the guided breathings in the Wim Hof Method app or the Spotify, they will have normally 30, 45 seconds for beginners in the first round. Then you do another round of that. So you do again the 30 to 50 breaths. Then you hold the breath out. Normally the second round, you hold the breath for a bit longer. If you're using the guided breathing, they will normally set a time that's a bit longer in the second round. But even if you're not setting a time, you just want to hold for as long as you want. Generally, you'll notice that with each round, you tend to be able to hold the breath for a bit longer.
Yeah.
So then the standard practice is doing 3 rounds of that, 3 rounds of breathing about 30 to 50 times, and then the breath retention. After each, before you start the second round, you also hold the breath in for about 15 seconds. So you do inhale and exhale, hold the air out as long as you can. Then you inhale, hold for 15 seconds or so. Then you start the next round. So we do, generally 3 to 5 rounds at home. If you use the app, you can set there how many rounds, how many breaths each round you want to do. And then if you can, I would recommend to just relax after for a few minutes to just enjoy that experience, all the presence that you created through the practice, and even the messages that you may be getting. Often, if you do a relaxation after the breathing, you get some messages, some images that may come to you, and without setting any expectations, but every time is different as well for every person. So did you want to do a round now, or you're good?
Right. Yeah.
And I just want to say, just with what we did with you with that breathing round at the Wim Hof workshop, that was exactly like, you don't expect that you'll be able to hold your breath for that long, or even the inhale, like you said, but somehow you do. And that's actually the time that I felt the most connected to that deep place. So it was really, empowering to know that even when you don't think you can do it, you just do.
It's amazing because you just basically surrender into the experience, right? If your mind, because often is the mind that gets on the way in life in general. So if you're thinking, then you probably be maybe talking yourself out of whatever you're doing, including the breath work. But if you're able to silence your mind in the breath work and in life, often you actually go for it. And so I think there's so many learnings that we can take to other contexts as well from the breath work. Mm-hmm.
So let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll move the camera up so we can stay within view, and then we'll do it.
Doing the breathing.
Yeah, breathing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so the breathing you can do lying down or sitting down.
Mhm.
And never do near the water, operating machinery, driving. So the main thing is if you happen to even lose consciousness for any reason, because it can be quite intense, the experience,
Yeah.
you need to make sure that you're safe. So in your case, you can do sitting down. I personally recommend either sitting down or lying down. Most people prefer lying down because then you can relax even more into the experience.
Yes.
So yeah, let's do 30 rounds. So inhale deeply, expanding the belly and the chest, and exhale and go. In, and go. Expand the belly and the chest, and release. Fully, and letting go, and follow your pace. My voice is just an invitation. Just keep going. Just follow your pace. Follow the rhythm of your breath. Fully, and letting go. You can make noise if you want. Just keep on breathing. No pause between inhalation and exhalation. Expand the belly and the chest and letting go. In and out. Keep going fully in and let go. In and out. Inhale, strength, whatever you need more in your life, and exhale, letting go what you don't need anymore. Trust your body. 10 more. In and out. In and out. In, out, in, out. 2 more. Fully in, letting go. Take the last big breath in. Exhale and hold the air out. No breathing, just being in the moment, relaxing there. Feel whatever you feel. And take a big breath in and hold the air in. Exhale. Yeah, so that was 1 round. And yeah, normally we do 3 rounds. Feeling it?
It's calming.
Amazing.
I certainly understand why you have to be sitting down in a safe space. Got a little bit lightheaded there towards the end, but then the holding and the breathing, you just feel so centered and calm.
Yeah, you feel like you're about to pass out, but then you don't. Like it's just this really intense, and the connection. Like I keep talking about that because I feel like that's just probably maybe the benefit of it all is at the end you just connect to this real great, wonderful place. And I think you said at the end of it, see if you can just relax in it. That's the reward.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
really connected. So yeah, love it.
Oh, that's correct. And it feels so good. And it's like a reset, right? I like doing the breathing in the morning because it sets my mind for the day ahead. But like if you need a quick reset in the middle of the day, it just feels like you gain so much more clarity. You become more productive in the rest of the day. Because I see often it can be challenging to take a break from the business, all the commitments we have. I understand. But often when we take that break, we have this practice then you gain that time back. you
Absolutely.
think
Yes.
more
Refresh the
clearly.
brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so worth it.
Interesting how that works. Yes, it totally does. It does. You reclaim your time, because sometimes you're just working on autopilot, but you're not actually being as productive. You just feel
Yeah.
you are. You're just doing. So this is
Yeah.
a chance to stop doing and just be.
Mhm. Yeah.
So Patricia, tell us, like, so just that breathing. So the Wim Hof breathing, the method you just showed us, what are the physical benefits that happen within the body? Like, so we
Yeah.
talked about the mind, you get there in a
Yeah.
beautiful calm zone, but what does it do inside your body?
Yeah, there's so many things. I'll mention some of the benefits. One of them is you learn to regulate better, to come back to a calm state. As you notice, when we do the intense breathing, we activate the sympathetic nervous system, basically the stress mode, the fight or flight mode. And when we do the breath retention, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest part of the autonomic nervous system. And often it's a big problem in today's society that people experience stress for prolonged times, and that's not healthy. So we need to be able to come back to a calm state. We need stress in our lives, but we need also peace. So what the breathing does helps us to regulate our nervous system, so we are able to come back from the stress to a calm state. And that's so important for the immune system. So that's one of the benefits. So it strengthens our immune system. So when we are in the calm state, we are able to fight pathogens or any kind of viruses, things that are out there in the environment better. We are stronger. Another thing is doing the breath retention. You create the hypoxia effect. So you lower oxygen in your system. And because of that, our body is so smart. Our body basically, that's what I imagine our body says to itself. So, oh my God, what's happening? What's going on? So then our body basically activates the EPO protein, which creates new blood cells and red blood cells and blood vessels as well,
Yeah.
which is so important for fighting even certain conditions, like, for example, anemia, cancer. If you can create new blood cells, blood vessels, you'll be healthier. Another thing is the breathing. If you do the breathing before the ice bath, it helps you to already start preparing your body for the cold exposure, not just ice bath, but even cold showers. All the release of adrenaline and dopamine, it starts even quicker if you do after the breathing. So your body is already getting to the mode, and then you go into the cold, you release even more, you start basically creating anti-inflammatory markers in your body when you do the cold exposure. But that process starts even doing the breathing. And also the breathing helps us to detoxify our body, which is amazing, to regulate our pH of our blood. So yeah, there's so many. There are some of them.
So many benefits. Yeah, you feel it, but knowing it, like doing that workshop with you, just going through some of the theory, that really also motivates you, because you know what good you're doing for yourself. And so then we finished the breath work, which ended up in this beautiful, we were trying to figure out, all of us, how long that was, because that sound,
the meditation,
that was just incredible, with the sound healing, like just sort of perfect way. We felt like we were all, like everyone we spoke to, we all felt like we went God knows where.
lost track of time.
Time stopped. It was so beautiful. And then it was like, okay, it's time to get into the cold plunge. And again, like, I was like, okay, fine, we're going to try and do 2 minutes. Now, I know when I got in, you'd already prepared us. You'd said, look, you're going to feel a certain way. This is how you should sit. Don't try and move around. Get in as quick as possible. So we did all that. Instantly, it was my forearms. Like, I was like, it's like, that hurts. But the rest of me, it wasn't as bad as you think. Like, it just really felt so, like just such an interesting experience for me, because I had just never even done that before. What are the benefits of being in the cold plunge for a minimum? Because I think you'd said 2 to 3 minutes is the maximum physical benefits.
That's what we recommend in the workshop, the fundamentals workshops, especially if you've never done before, but also in general, just to be safe, because obviously if you overdo it, it can be detrimental to your health. Often when we do longer times, it's more for the mindset, because you want to show yourself that you can do it, which is amazing. But there's not necessarily sufficient evidence showing that it's better to do prolonged times. And obviously, if you overdo and you are not adapted to the cold yet, then it can be detrimental to your health. So if to be in the safe side, 2 to 3 minutes is great, because obviously people have different tolerance to the cold. But the main thing is if you decide to increase your time, then do that gradually. So if you the night bath for 2 minutes today, do 2 to 3 minutes tomorrow or the next time. And then next time you do, maybe increase by 30 seconds and gradually build your tolerance. We don't want to go from 3 minutes one day to 20 minutes the next day. So the thing is, if you stay for long periods of time, then it'll take longer to warm up as well. And it is important to warm up. So if you don't have enough time to warm up after, it's better to have a shorter cold exposure to make sure after you are warm, doing the horse stance or any other ways that you want to warm yourself up. You don't want to be feeling cold the whole day unless you are really adapted to the cold. Like Wim, he can walk barefoot on ice all day. I think most of us are not quite there yet, but it varies so much from person to person. That's why it's always safer to just recommend 2 to 3 minutes. And most of these studies that I'm across, they study 2 to 3 minutes bath, and that's what most professionals that I know in this wellness space recommend as well.
Yeah. So what are the physical benefits we get? Like, so you said with the breathing, we're doing the because you also mentioned something about, I think it was from the cold plunge, for 6 days after we continue to reap the benefits.
Yeah, we create white blood cells. That's one of the main ones. There's so many things, but I think that's the main one because we lower inflammation in our body. And if we can lower inflammation, basically, we can improve so many conditions. And even if you have a condition that may be chronic, you can still lower the symptoms if you lower inflammation in your body, and you even improve your mood, obviously. The physical and mental health is improved. So you feel more energized, your mood improves. And with this release of adrenaline and dopamine, that's what creates the new white blood cells in your body. So that is a result of the adrenaline and dopamine having this huge spike. So I think that's the main one. There are many others, like even just by helping us to cope better with stress, for example. So if we learn how to face the cold, we also learn how to become more resilient to stress. And if we can lower stress or be more resilient to stress, that means our immune system will work better. So again, like so many conditions will be improved as a consequence. So if we can have our strong immune system and even the mindset as well, as you said, this is a key thing. You learn that you can do things for yourself. And then hopefully they will help you to feel inspired to implement other positive habits in your life as well. You leave the ice bath feeling I can do anything, and hopefully they'll lead you to take some action to improve your life in general.
Absolutely. That's definitely the biggest takeaway. And I think also it's important to touch on the fact that we, would have been brought up, a lot of people brought up with that misconception of the cold not being good for you.
Yeah.
But in fact, there's just so many benefits. And even the switch from the cold to the hot to the cold to the hot, like I so many times I would have heard that that's the unhealthiest thing, that's what's going to make you sick. But it's actually not. It's actually doing something really amazing inside of us, in our bodies and our health system as well, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I also used to believe that the cold was bad. You know? And
Yeah.
it's so funny because touch wood, I don't remember last time I got sick. And I used to get sick, especially during winter. I used to have cold and flu all the time. All the time. Like I would have a few times every winter. And then since I started doing cold exposure, that didn't happen anymore. Like it's very rare if I get sick, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Strengthens your immune system for
it
sure.
does. It
I can
does.
relate to that, Patricia, as well. I combine hot and cold therapy with fasting. And again, touch wood, I haven't had a cold and flu in years, and like yourself, I used to catch everything. I used to catch it at the very beginning of winter, which is when it all first comes out, and then it mutate all through winter, usually through me, and then I get it again at the end of winter. So it was an amazing experience. But yeah, and even hay fever, I've noticed my symptoms have reduced by practicing fasting and hot and cold therapy. But with the Wim Hof method, what are some of the biggest benefits and turnarounds that you've seen with your clients?
Yeah, so with the Wim Hof method in particular, I think it's more about the mood that I see immediate. That's what I see in the immediate period after the workshop. Like you can see people are more energized and then they feel inspired to do other things in their lives. But then I know many cases that's not something that generally I see immediately after the workshop. But their wellness in general improves. And that I know from my clients and also other testimonials that we see in the Wim Hof Method YouTube channel and people who I met through my trips with the Wim Hof expeditions and events as well. So we meet so many people who have overcome conditions that, sometimes they are given months to live. And it's so beautiful to see that, it's about making a decision. You can do things for yourself. I think there's a combination of factors. There's the expectancy effect, you believe you're going to heal yourself and then you do things to help you. You generally, when you make that decision, you do the Wim Hof method and other things as well, not just the Wim Hof method, but I feel that it's a key component of the healing of so many people. Since you can lower inflammation, that's key. You strengthen your immune system, and then you can detoxify your body. So it's so beautiful to see. I've met so many people who some decided to just do Wim Hof method and their own natural things. Some continued their traditional treatment. I personally would recommend to continue the traditional treatment to the doctor and then do the Wim Hof method as a complement. But I've met people who followed different paths, but somehow the Wim Hof method helped them to heal themselves, which is amazing. Yeah. And I see also, sorry? Yeah.
So I was just saying it's always a positive outcome by doing it.
Yeah, always, like physically and emotionally. And yeah, I see many people believing more in themselves, which is something that I help a lot of my clients with. Limiting beliefs, lack of self-trust, self-confidence. And that is something that I see the Wim Hof method helping as well them as breakthrough these kind of limitations and start tapping into the inner strength.
What a beautiful life purpose to always help people to achieve their highest, to be able to do that is your job.
You fill other people's cups, in the process you fill your own cup.
Exactly. I think that, and I think generally in life it's good to be able to serve others while you also look after yourself. And I feel that that's one of the best decisions I've made for myself to become a life coach, because I learned so many techniques and helped me to deal with my own self-doubt thoughts as well. Because I feel the more you practice listening to the empowering voice inside your mind, the more you listen to it, the stronger it gets, and the less you notice the self-doubt voice. But sometimes this voice can come to me as well. And then I feel so privileged to know so many tools. Then I feel I have a choice. Okay, am I going to listen to this voice, or should I apply one of my tools here? And then it's so, I think it's amazing. And I think there's so many layers, because I'm still learning, I'm still growing. And, the more you make progress, I think the more you uncover parts of yourself that were hidden, or there are new challenges. And I think for me, it's so beautiful to be able to help others to grow. I find every single session with a client, one-on-one coaching, is for me so energizing. It's amazing. Even if I'm tired for some reason, I get into the session, I feel energized, and I feel inspired by the person as well, and so excited about the future. I just feel so thankful for this opportunity to help others, and it helps me to continue in this path as well. Every time I help somebody, I help myself.
Absolutely. You're on the right path when you're getting energized by it. And then I want to talk about one of your other tools, NLP. Can you tell us a little bit about how would you explain this method to people, and what can it help?
Yeah, so NLP combines hundreds of techniques. So basically what created by Richard Bandler and Joe Grinder in the 70s. And what they did, they were studying different approaches to personal transformation. And they noticed that there were particular therapists that they obtained really fast results with their clients. And then they start trying to understand why that worked. And then what they did, they learned the strategies that worked, found what was common, and put together a number of techniques. They use those learnings. And neurolinguistic programming basically helps us to change our perspective of the world, to expand our views, because often we have filters like the programs. Our past experiences create limiting beliefs, all the paradigms we have, and all the, not just the limitations, but all the possibilities as well, but even if they are not as wide as they could be. So basically what we lived in the past sometimes affects our present, right? Even if you go through a difficult moment in the past, you can change that, but you can change how you feel in regards to what happened. And NLP helps us to basically change the way we feel in relation to set a context of our lives in both present and the past, expand the perspectives, so gain more choices. And there are so many different ways to do it. There are some techniques that are very different from each other. Most of the techniques, they are done on a one-on-one basis. So I guide you through a particular technique each time to activate an empowering state, and then make an association of that empowering state with a context of your life that you want to improve. And then something changes in that context. There are so many different ways to do the NLP techniques, but essentially they are some of the key things you do. And you can change limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs. You can overcome fears, phobias, and generally it's actually really fast to overcome a phobia. So you do these techniques, reframing basically the past often, and changing how you feel, and you create tools to bring that state to the future. So you can take this, we create this positive state in the session, and you can take to other contexts that you experience. You can change also habits through these NLP techniques, because often what holds us back comes from the subconscious mind. So you want to start eating more broccoli and exercising, but really there's that emotion, those triggers that keep us stuck in the old habits. And like consciously, smoking is not good for you, but then what brings you to smoke? Often there's a root cause that needs to be addressed. And we address that through NLP. But also you can use NLP to achieve goals in general, to overcome obstacles, So you can deal with emotions or strategies, business goals. You can apply to so many different contexts. So the way we do is very customized. That's why normally we do 101.
So all these different contexts that from eating more broccoli, exercising more, being goal-oriented, are they all different NLP techniques, or using that one technique to cover it all?
Yeah, you can do either or. There are hundreds of techniques, and there are some techniques that they can work for pretty much most contexts. But there are some techniques, they are designed for particular context. For example, for phobia, there is a particular technique, step by step, that we follow to overcome a phobia. But there are some techniques, for example, John Grinder, one of the creators of NLP, he later created what he called NLP New Code. And these techniques are really quick. So the way they work, basically, you just think of a context of your life you want to improve. And that can be any context. Then after, you do something to change your state. It can be anything. Like I have a few, they call games in this new code technique. So it can be anything. For example, even if you just dance, jump, do something that makes you feel good, or do juggling, something that brings you to the moment. Because a key thing of changing your emotional state is rhythm. So if you do juggling, at the beginning, maybe you struggle if you don't know how to juggle, but eventually once you find the rhythm, then you're totally present there in the moment. And that present state activates as a more empowering state. So then once you are in that state, you can just jump into, you imagine a circle, an area around close to you, where you imagine that's the context you want to improve. And then you basically just jump into that context, and you create an association of the positive state and the context, and you gain more choices, more perspective. So this is one very simple technique. Generally, I would be guiding because there is a moment when you feel really good, like you are in the optimum state, and I'll be calibrating you and asking you to jump into the context. If you do this is a technique that you could possibly do by yourself, but generally, like you may miss. It's very important that you get yourself to the high moment, because emotions, they only last seconds. So you gotta get yourself at like a peak of the positive emotion. So once you feel, I feel so good, then you jump into the context. But there are other techniques that involve visualization. You visualize yourself going back to the past, to a situation where everything started, like the problem stage. And I can even apply hypnosis to help you to go even to moments you didn't recall consciously. And then you go there, and then we bring a positive state to the moment. And then I guide you, saying a few things to help you reframing that situation and moving forward to the present and the future, to where you have all the internal resources you need, and you're dealing with situations in a positive way. So through that visualization, because you rehearsed in your mind, then it's already is real, because basically the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So you start feeling that in your body. And if you want to make things happen in your life, you can do visualization in the morning and see yourself in the future being the person you want to be, and then you start feeling that way. So then you can create the reality, because you are feeling the way. So there are many NLP techniques that help you to change the way you feel. And then we do other things.
I think that's the important thing, is the changing the way you feel. Because so is visualization, the visualization technique, also an NLP technique?
Yeah, basically, if you ask Robert Dust, one of the guys who worked with the creators, and he now creates his own tools as well. If you ask him what NLP is, he'll say anything that works. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So the visualization is a big part. Yeah. So there's most NLP techniques involve some type of visualization using the imagination, which is also great because when people are so stressed out, busy in their mind, people often think they can't imagine things. And imagination opens doors to your intuition as well, to your true self. Imagining things help you to develop creativity, and this creativity will help you to overcome life challenges as well. But yeah, visualization is a big part. And when we go through the past, even if it's a difficult moment in the past, using NLP technique, visualizations, it's a very brief visit just to take the results. We are not suffering, bringing all the negative emotions. We just go very quick and then bring these positive states to that situation, reframe, take the learnings, and then move on to the future, and then activate the positive state. And there are so many techniques I use that it's actually fun, and we laugh. Like most of my sessions, we laugh. And it's very light, even if you're dealing with difficult issues, it's such an enjoyable experience for all of us.
That sounds
beautiful.
So is there a NLP technique you could show us now that could be something we used as a general tool to, like improve more general situations, from eating broccoli to more broccoli to exercising more to
Yeah, sure. I just want to give a quick tip, and you can do later if we don't have time. The one thing you can do is creating an anchor. So anchor is basically a signal you can do that brings some kind of positive emotion. So for example, let's say there's a song that whenever you listen to, you feel really good, and there is an anchor because every time you listen to that song already brings that state. So that's an anchor. And you can create other anchors in your life. For example, if you want peace or relaxed state anchor, you can, for example, make yourself really relaxed. And then when you are really relaxed in that state, for example, you just done a meditation, then you can create an anchor. Like for me, if I bring the tip of the index finger and the thumb, which is a mudra as well in yoga, but this for me is the peaceful state. If I want to feel calm, I just do this, and straight away I feel calm because I've done so many meditations doing this. It's already associated. So you can do that. So for example, but I would recommend you to do with a signal that you don't do all the time, because otherwise there may be confusion, internal conflict. So it's a unique signal. It can even be like you touch a part of your body. Every time you touch this part, you activate the energized state. And so you can do, but then the more you use your anchor, the stronger it feels. So if you, it keeps alive, So if you, every time, let's say you want to create a particular anchor for feeling energized, every time you feel energized, it feels so good. Go and touch this anchor. And then when you are not feeling energized, you want to feel energized, I click this anchor and I feel energized. So you can do this. You can do by yourself. Or you can even imagine a time when you're really motivated, energized, and then you start allowing yourself to really feel whatever comes with that experience, images, sounds, sensations, really feel it, and then create your anchor, and then keep using it. That's something you can do. Or even listening to a
every time
song.
we take a cold shower or do a cold plunge.
That's a great one, because that's easy. Because a quick way to change your state is through physiology. So it's the quickest way, because there are many visualizations we do as well that can help, but it works better if I'm there guiding, saying particular things. But then taking a cold shower you can do by yourself. If you change your physiology, you change your state. Like this is not necessarily NLP, but if you place your hands on the waist and look up, It's
Yeah.
called power pose. I don't know if you've heard, or you can do that, or the runner's pose. If you do this for 2 minutes, it's scientifically demonstrated that you change your energy levels, your confidence, you release more testosterone, you start feeling better about yourself. If you look up, if you catch yourself looking down, make sure you look up. Just by looking up, you start releasing the feel-good hormones in your body. So that these kind of strategies to move the body can be incorporated into the NLP techniques as well, like the one I mentioned about changing state and then jumping into the context. We can use this kind of techniques too, but there are a few others. They're particularly powerful. But anyway, I want to show you. I know you want to do a demonstration. So this technique is great for changing habits. It's called the 6-step reframe. This is one of the classic techniques created originally. And basically what you do, you connect with your subconscious mind and you ask for help to change a habit. And the habit can be eating the broccoli. You can, you're not eating the broccoli and you want to eat the broccoli maybe. Or like generally you can pick, for example, you have something that's bothering you. It can be a mental habit, like you talk negatively to yourself, or it can be procrastination, whatever it is, a habit that you have, a pattern that you want to change in your life.
Okay.
And so to do that, we wanted to learn when our subconscious mind is saying yes to us and when our subconscious mind is saying no. And there are many different ways to do that. I'll show you a way that I find easy and you can do at home too. It's one of the easiest ways that I find, in my opinion.
Yes.
You need to stand up, if you don't mind. So we stand up.
There we go. Can you see it still?
Yeah. So then now you just relax your body. So you're upright standing, but you relax your body. And you can even lift a little the chin up. So lifting the chin up and just relaxing. You can keep the eyes closed if you want. And when you are standing and you are relaxed, your body has a natural sway. Can you notice that your body is moving slightly?
Yes.
Yeah, great. So now say something to yourself. It can be out loud or just mentally. Something that the answer is yes for sure, like 100% sure is yes. For example, my name is Michelle, my name is Bart, or the sun will rise tomorrow, the sun rises every day. And just notice as you say that, the natural sway of your body. So can you notice where your body is moving or how your body is moving?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Now, say something that the answer is no, like my name is Patricia, and notice the difference in display. Can you tell the difference?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So what we just done is just a calibration so you know when your body is saying yes, when you're saying no. Now, ask your subconscious mind, would you help me to change this habit that I want to change? And you can even think of the habit you want to change.
Yeah.
Okay, did you get a yes signal?
Yes.
Yeah, great. So then thank your subconscious mind. And then now ask, is there a positive intention behind this habit that I want to change? Yeah, did you get yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay. So then thank your subconscious mind and now ask, please find 3 or more alternatives, better choices that satisfy those positive intentions of the habit, but in a way that's better for me, more ecological, fit better into my system. And you don't need to tell me what the choices are now, but just let me know. Give me a yes signal once you found some other options for me.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Then thank your subconscious mind and then ask, would you take responsibility for implementing these choices into my life?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, then just thanks and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, then done. Well done, guys. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful.
So that's
Yeah.
the body pendulum. Like, so when you say we're talking to the subconscious mind, is that tapping into that sort of higher power within ourselves that can change those bad habits, like you said?
Yeah, all the deep down roots that we have in our system and things that we're not aware of consciously. Our body tells us so much. Like if you get people to go through a line detector machine, they do similar things to get this yes or no, right? Our body moves different when there's an alignment with who we are.
Yeah.
And so it's very normally most people find really hard to really know what is a yes, what is a no for them. And this technique I just showed you can help you even to make decisions, just using the yes or no. Should I take this job offer? Yes or no? It helps you. Should I eat this chocolate? If you connect with your body, there's so much learnings that comes from it. If you just ask yourself, you're about to eat something, how am I going to feel an hour after eating this? You make a better decision about what to
Taking
eat.
the time to ask those questions and
Yeah.
hear the answers. Quite often we're just running through life and we're not even
On autopilot.
pausing to breathe or to be in touch with ourselves.
Yeah, that's so true. I think, like, like Bart said, we're on autopilot, so we sometimes do things out of just doing it. And so, yeah, taking that moment to do just that little exercise you showed us is so powerful. It gives you a deeper reason and taking yourself out of that automatic habits, which sometimes are bad habits.
Yeah, and I like asking questions, even if you don't know the answer yet. Just ask, but ask the right questions to yourself. Instead
Yes.
of can I do this? Is how do I do this?
Yeah.
Find a way. And even if you don't get the answer straight away, you may get in a dream, you may get in the following day, but you get the answer. But just to notice yourself asking negative questions to yourself. If you ask why these things happen to me, they will continue happening. But
Yeah.
make the questions that will be helping you to move forward. So if you ask, how can I make this work? Then you get the answer that will be more
Yes.
productive.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I love this. I feel like we have to have a part 2, Patricia, because I'm looking at that time and I'm going, oh my gosh, there's so many more things I want to chat with you about. Do you not feel the same way? But we're going to have to reconnect again. But, like just everything you've shown us, I think are amazing takeaway tools that I know we can already use, from the NLP, the Wim Hof, the cold plunge. And even like, I love the anchoring exercise that you showed us before, like told us to do. I think that we can all walk away with some really amazingly great new habits and empowering tools.
Thank you. I love this. I love connecting with people like yourselves because I feel you are helping other people as well to grow and to live with purpose. So you are helping me with my mission. Thank you.
Yes,
we learn so much through these podcasts, Patricia, and I think it's entitled One Conversation, One Breakthrough, but I think the breakthrough happens a lot of the time on our end. So we really thank you for taking the time to jump on today. And again, thank you for inviting us along to your workshop. Immense benefit, immense value, highly recommended for anyone who's even, if you're doubting you need to go, then you're the person who needs to go, because anyone who's tried it definitely feels the benefits. And certainly me and Michelle have already decided that we're going to be doing a lot more of these hot and cold plunges. And as Michelle said, we're already doing the cold showers and everything else. So incorporating a lot of this into our daily lives. So yes.
I just want to also say, just with you specifically, Patricia, like your energy, it's really obvious how much you do get out of all the help there is that joy and energy that you're getting from probably doing it and giving to us. So it was really, truly an honor to be in your presence and to learn from you. And even today, everything you've shown us and taught us and just your way of doing it, it's definitely something that I think would be relatable and resonant, because I can feel it's coming from just such a really beautiful space.
You said the word authentic, and I definitely resonate an authentic energy from you. From the very, very first moment when we met, through the workshops and now the podcast, every time we speak, you have an honesty that comes out, that comes through. So it's a beautiful energy, and we're grateful that you've taken the time to be here with us today. Now, for our guests or listeners, and what are some takeaways? Is there any last messages, or how can people get in touch with you?
I would like to invite your audience as well to connect. We'll have the links to my Instagram and my webpage as well. And just want to quickly say as well that I do the one-on-one coachings, and through the coaching, I basically help you to live with purpose, overcome limiting beliefs, fears, tap into your inner power, and work on your personal growth so that you develop the skills you need to be the person who you want to be. But the main thing through the methods that I follow is I help you to take consistently meaningful actions that will help you to make progress. So I think it's all about making progress daily and making better choices, living each day with purpose, selecting better, because there's so much we can do, right? And it's hard sometimes to prioritize if we don't know how to gain clarity of what are the priorities really that have more meaning or can create the biggest impact. So for me, I love doing that, helping people to bring meaning to their daily lives. And if you need help with that, reach out. And thank you so much for the opportunity. You said a lot of positive things to me. And as you know, we only see in others what we have in ourselves. And I feel so grateful for the opportunity to connect with you both. And I find amazing what you're doing for your audience. And I can see it's only growing and expanding and reaching out to more and more people. And I'm sure when people listen to your podcast, there's always something that they will implement in their lives. So there will be an insight that they will take and make their lives better. So what you're doing is affecting not just the audience, I feel, but even, their relationships, their environment are improving through the work you guys do. So thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this.
Thank you so much for being a part of it. We so appreciate you.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for your kind words, and thank you for taking the time again. And like Michelle said, we definitely have to get you on to part 2. I think there's a lot more wisdom here to impart. So until then, watch the space.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
1, 2